Welcome to Black Night Scary. I'm so glad you found me. Please make sure to leave a like on this video as it helps my channel grow and reach more viewers. Enjoy the fresh content and be sure to subscribe now. And remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss a thing in the future. I know there are thousands of channels just like mine that you could have chosen to listen to, so thank you for choosing mine. I truly appreciate your time, each and every one of you. Thank you all for listening, and enjoy these horrifying October fall camping horror stories. Story number 1. The late October air was a sharp promise of the coming winter as we pulled up to the deserted campsite. The Great Lakes, usually bustling with summer campers, were now a vast gray expanse under a bruised sky. It was a long weekend, a chance for my friends and I to escape the city's clamor, unwind, and as our unspoken pact dictated, drink ourselves into a comfortable oblivion. Sean, my oldest friend and the stoic anchor of our group, was already wrestling the tent poles, while Sarah and Mike were busy unloading the cooler, the clinking of glass bottles a cheerful counterpoint to the whispering wind. From the moment we set up camp, a subtle unease began to creep in, like dampness seeping into our bones. It was the silence, mostly. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of nature. It was too heavy, too watchful. As the afternoon bled into evening, and the first amber glow of sunset painted the clouds, we started noticing them. Shadows just at the edge of our vision, at the fringe of the dense tree line that hugged the campground. Dark shapes too still to be animals, too deliberately placed to be natural.
You guys see that?
Sarah whispered, her voice tight, pointing a trembling finger towards a dense thicket behind our campsite. We all turned to look. For a fleeting moment, a figure stood there, impossibly tall and gaunt, silhouetted against the fading light. It was gone as quickly as it appeared, melting back into the shadows, leaving only the rustle of leaves to suggest it had ever been there at all.
Just a deer,
Mike said, trying for a casual tone, but his eyes darted nervously towards the tree line. But it wasn't just one. As the night deepened and the wind howled like a banshee through the skeletal branches, we catch glimpses, always fleeting, always from the peripheral vision, faces pale and indistinct, peering out from behind the gnarled trunks of ancient oaks. They never approached, never made a sound, but their presence was a constant gnawing pressure. We try and laugh it off, blame it on the alcohol and the isolation, but the shared glances, the quickened heartbeats, told a story. We were being observed, studied as if we were specimens under a microscope. The campfire's warmth did little to chase away the chill that had settled deep inside us all. My friends and I huddled closer, the conversation dwindling to anxious murmurs. The drinks meant to dull our senses only seemed to amplify the hushed menace that surrounded us. Then came the knocking. It wasn't a polite rap of a fellow camper. It was loud, insistent, and violent. It reverberated through the thin canvas walls of our tent, shaking us to the core.
Who's there?
Sean called out, his voice a low growl, his hand already reaching for the duffel bag where he kept his .45. Silence. Then another barrage of blows, harder this time, accompanied by the sickening sound of something scraping against the tent fabric. Sarah screamed, burying her face in Mike's shoulder.
They're trying to get in.
I breathed, my own hand finding the reassuring weight of the pistol I carried, a habit born of living in a city where caution was paramount. Suddenly, the zipper of the tent began to rend, a shadow far larger than any human strained against the fabric, tearing it open. A hand, long and skeletal, reaching through the rip, fumbling for the closure. Panic flared hot and suffocating. Sean was already out of his sleeping bag, gun in hand, his face a mask of grim determination. I scrambled for mine, my fingers clumsy with adrenaline.
Get back!
Sean roared, leveling his weapon at the gaping tear in our sanctuary. The scratching intensified, accompanied by guttural, inhuman sounds that curdled the blood. We could see them now, or part of them, eyes glowing with an unsettling luminance glinting in the darkness. The fingers unnaturally long and tipped with what looked like jagged claws clawing at the fabric.
Shoot them!
Sarah sobbed from behind us. Sean didn't hesitate. The deafening roar of his pistol shattered the night. A shriek more animal than human ripped through the air. followed by the frantic crashing of something heavy retreating into the woods. We didn't sleep. We sat there huddled together, the air thick with a metallic smell of gunpowder and lingering stench of primal fear. Every snap of a twig, every gust of wind sent fresh waves of terror through us. We took turns keeping watch, our guns clutched tight. The flickering beam of our flashlights cut desperate swaths through the impenetrable darkness. That feeling of being watched never left. It intensified, a palpable taunt, a promise of their return. The Great Lakes, usually a place of solace, had become a stage for our terror, and the whispering woods held secrets far darker than we could ever have imagined. We had come to relax, but we left with a hollowness in our chests and the chilling certainty that some places and some things are better left undisturbed. Story number 2. The chill of October 2023 had settled deep into the bones of Redwood National Park where we pitched our tent. Autumn's hues bled across the ancient trees, a beautiful, mournful tapestry. My wife Sarah and our 2 children, 8-year-old Leo and 6-year-old Lexi, were excited for our first camping trip of the season. I felt a familiar blend of peace and vigilance, the kind that always accompanied me into the wild. But nothing could have prepared me for the primal terror that was about to grip us. The first night was a symphony of crackling fire and hushed laughter. The children, tucked into their sleeping bags inside their small, separate tent, eventually surrendered to sleep. We settled into our own, the canvas walls offering a thin, fragile barrier against the vast darkness outside. Sleep came easily, a welcome exhaustion after a day of hiking. Then, it happened. A sound sharp and unnatural sliced through the quiet night. Leo's scream was raw and full of unadulterated terror, ripping through the night. It wasn't the playful shriek of a child. It was a sound born of pure, unadulterated fear. My heart leapt into my throat. I was out of my sleeping bag in an instant, Sarah hot on my heels. Through the dim glow of my headlamp, I saw it. The side of Lily's tent was ripped, ragged, gaping hole torn into the fabric. The beam caught a figure, a man, his silhouette contorted against the moonlight, emerging from the trees. In his arms, a small, struggling form, Lexi. She was limp, her tiny body racked with sobs, but her mouth was muffled. Rage, cold and sharp, flooded my system, drowning out the fear. I didn't think. I reacted.
Get away from her.
I roared, the sound echoing unnaturally in the silent forest. The man froze for a split second, startled by the ferocity of my voice. It was enough. I charged, Leo surprisingly right behind me, his small fists clenched. The man turned, momentarily disoriented, and I slammed into him. We tumbled to the ground, the rough earth scraping against my skin. He was stronger than he looked, wiry, and wiry with desperate strength. He tried to scramble away, Lexi still clutched tight, but the struggle had loosened his grip. Leo, with a bravery that still makes my chest ache, threw himself at the man's legs, a small, unexpected anchor. The man stumbled, his hold on Lexi weakening. In that instant I lunged, my hands closing around Lily's tiny body. Sarah was there too, her voice a torrent of panicked protective shouts. The man, realizing he'd lost his prize, bolted. He scrambled to his feet and disappeared into the inky blackness of the trees, swallowed by the night as if he'd never been there at all. Lexi was sobbing, clinging to me, her small body trembling uncontrollably. Sarah held us both, her own body shaking. Leo stood beside us, his face pale, his eyes wide with the horror he'd witnessed and the fear he'd overcome. The silence that returned to the campsite was not peaceful, but heavy, suffocating, thick with the lingering presence of what had almost been. The wilderness, once a sanctuary, had become a place of unimaginable dread, and the darkness, it seemed, had teeth. Story number 3. It started small, a granola bar gone from my pack, then a handful of trail mix. I'd initially dismissed it as carelessness, a trick of the light or a momentary lapse in my meticulous inventory. But the disappearances escalated. A sealed bag of jerky vanished overnight. A portion of my dried fruit was gone. The silence of the woods, which had initially been a balm, began to feel watchful, pregnant with an unseen presence. Each night I'd set up camp deeper into the wilderness, hoping to outrun whatever was playing this insidious game. My heart would pound a little faster as I secured my tent, the rustling of leaves no longer a comforting natural sound. The third night, the unease solidified into cold dread. I was nestled deep in a ravine, the air thick with the scent of pine and decay. Exhausted from a brutal day of climbing, I'd fallen into a heavy sleep. Then, a sound. Distinct, hushed murmur of voices. My eyes snapped open, the darkness of the tent suddenly feeling suffocating. Whispers. Two of them close, too close. They slithered through the thin nylon walls, weaving a tapestry of unease. My hand instinctively went to my bear spray, its cool metal a small comfort against my clammy palm. Then a blinding beam of light laced through the tent fabric, illuminating my face. The two figures loomed outside, their shapes distorted by the light. Fear, sharp and primal, seized me. I could hear their ragged breathing, feel their intrusive presence. Without thinking, without hesitation, I scrambled for the bear spray. My fingers fumbled with the safety catch, the metallic click deafening in the oppressive silence. The men were already tearing into the tent, the rip of nylon a sickening sound. As the fabric ripped open, I aimed for the bright glare of the flashlight, a gut instinct fueled by sheer terror. A searing hiss followed by guttural screams that tore through the night. The men recoiled, their howls echoing through the trees, a raw testament to pain and surprise. I heard them crashing through the undergrowth, their panic flight a desperate fading soundtrack. I remained huddled in my ripped tent, the smell of pepper spray still hanging heavy in the air, my heart hammering against my ribs. The whispers were gone, the light was gone, but the chilling certainty remained. I had encountered something in those woods, something that night that I would never, ever forget. The solitude I'd sought had been a dangerous illusion.